Well, we're talking football on the SportsMax Zone, the oldest active continental football tournament in the world, Copa America, beginning its 48th edition today with the defending champions and world champions, Argentina, taking on first-time entrants Canada. Juan G. Arango will be joining us pretty soon to preview the encounter. But first, let's remind you of the groups involved in this Copa America tournament. Group A has Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Canada. Group B will have Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica's Reggae Boys. The USA, Uruguay, Panama, Bolivia in Group C. And Group D has Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and Costa Rica. Yeah. So here's Juan G. Arango now to talk to us about the tournament. And let's open with Argentina against Canada. Juan, always exciting for the fans to see Lionel Messi on the pitch. Does he start tonight, and how fit is he?
Martinez, Molina, Romero, and Lisandro Martinez, with Acuña, excuse me. De Paul, Paredes, McAllister, Messi, Alvarez, and Angel Di Maria. So they all the starting 11 for Argentina. Canada still hasn't given out their. Actually, this was known, maybe except for one or two. The lineup for Argentina was known already 2 days ago, but there was just a couple of doubts that Lionel Scaloni did have prior to this encounter. Canada, and Jesse Marsh was talking about exactly what his team needs to do. And it sounds great on paper, but you have to see how it's executed in the grand scheme of things. Of course, they're coming in with a great deal of confidence after having gone scoreless or going to a scoreless draw with France. So it ends up being a very interesting set of circumstances where you end up seeing a Canada side that could be competitive, that are looking for a type of transition that could be interesting to see if they can break, especially if you start looking at two players like Buchanan and, of course, Davies out wide. And, of course, with Jonathan David on the attack, there could be some threats there if Argentina aren't too careful. And as I said before, Lance, the only team that could really, truly beat Argentina right now would be Argentina.
Yeah, and talk to us quickly about the fact that we have seen CONCACAF teams play in the Copa America before. The Copa America Centenario, I think, reminds me back in 2016. Your thoughts on CONCACAF measuring up with CONMEBOL in this Copa America tournament?
It's the gathering of a new measuring stick. I mean, Jamaica. We have to go back to the Copa America in 2015 when Jamaica was part of it. And yeah, okay, fine. They lost every single game. They lost at 1-0, but they were competitive. And you saw Jamaica that was starting to really take off after that tournament. It was a team that really gained a great deal of confidence out of it. So they could be benefited from that type of thing. And again, one of the things that CONCACAF has really had problems with is, unfortunately, and I'm sad to say it, is the implementation of the Nations League. Because you didn't see that the top teams begin to excel. It was that they ended up kind of drifting down to the back. And the biggest and best example I can give you in terms of that is Mexico, because you haven't seen Mexico really prosper in these types of situations. So they do have to go. And I'm not talking about just national teams. I'm talking about at the club level as well, that CONMEBOL could end up being a very beneficial thing for CONCACAF in the long run.
Yeah, and the last 2016 Copa America Centenario had Chile winning, beating Argentina in the final. And the USA ended up fourth, didn't they? Because it was Colombia that got the third place. So CONCACAF were fourth best there.
Yeah. And also keep in mind, in that tournament as well, Mexico ends up getting eliminated 7-0 against Chile. So you had some good and mixed results, but then good and mixed isn't enough to say that you're competing at times. And you have to be competing consistently. That's what would end up making CONCACAF CONMEBOL such a very beneficial aspect for both, if both sides were competing on an even playing field, first of all, and if you see CONCACAF really competing at a level in which they could end up really causing some problems for the CONMEBOL teams in the long run, on a consistent basis, I'm saying.
Yeah, and finally, Juan, who are favorites for this tournament?
Well, we already talked about one, and we probably talked about the prohibited one, which is Argentina. Outside of that, I have to say Uruguay. Uruguay second. They're one of the best teams coming in.
Okay.
I mean,
what about Brazil?
They beat
Brazil.
No. Remember I said a few years ago that Brazil team from 2014, 2015 was the worst team? No, this is worse than that.
Wow.
And And not only that, I see Uruguay, I see Colombia, although Colombia still, when they get in these pressure-packed situations, I still have to see what they do in order for them to come through. When they start getting into that, then I can start adding them into the conversation. But right now, they're a dark horse. They're a dark horse over Brazil at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay, well, your track record, Juan, suggests that we should not challenge you or oppose what you're saying with regard to your...
I don't know about that, but I mean, anything can happen in football. I mean, like today, we could end up seeing Canada in the semifinals. Who knows? But still, at the end of the day, the way the teams are going and based on their current form, that's what you end up starting to look at.
Yeah. All right, Juan, we leave it there, and we'll be following the Copa America very, very closely. And we will rely on your expertise in following the tournament. Thanks, man.
Cool. Take care. All right, bye.
All right, and as we continue the countdown, the days until the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, the SportsMax Zone continues to have special features to whet your appetite ahead of the grand show. And as it's Thursday, we are fixing our eyes on Paris with the latest news. Here's Gerard Morris-Seeley.
Keeping you up to date on all things Olympics, this is Eyes on Paris. News from the French capital, Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo acknowledged on Wednesday that the possibility of France's far right coming to power in elections later this month is causing doubts and concerns as the City of Love prepares for the Olympics. Hidalgo says she has received many questions from people abroad who are worried about the situation in France. The country goes to the polls on June 30 and July 7, less than a month before the start of the Paris Games. Jamaica's Shericka Jackson was included in a Paris Olympics advertising campaign for Omega Watches, along with a slew of world-class athletes. Omega Watches, who is the official timekeeper of the upcoming Summer Olympic Games, utilizes optical illusions to have the aspiring Olympic gold medalists seemingly blend into their surroundings while taking part in their specialized events. Talking hoops now, the Bahamas national team is getting set to welcome three-time NBA champion Klay Thompson to their ranks ahead of the Olympics. This comes after Thompson, along with NBA stars Buddy Hield, DeAndre Ayton, and Eric Gordon, were seen practicing with the team on Tuesday in Houston, Texas. Thompson, who won a gold medal with Team USA in 2016, would need an official release from USA Basketball and approval from FIBA to compete for Team Bahamas at the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament. A gender-balanced team of 3 men and 3 women will represent Afghanistan in Paris in a largely symbolic move for their first Summer Olympics since the Taliban seized power. The women will compete in athletics and cycling, while their male counterparts will compete in athletics, swimming, and judo. The names of the athletes have not yet been released. The IOC suspended the Afghan NOC in 1999 and the country was excluded from the Sydney 2000 Games, but was reinstated after the fall of the Taliban the following year. This has been Eyes on Paris. Until next time, au revoir.
How is his French, Lance?
Not bad actually. Well,
Think he's ready?
Yes, I think he is.
Okay.
Well, he should be. He's been preparing well.
Yes. His French doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, so we're closing in on the end of the week, Ricardo. Tomorrow's show will be the final show for the week, and we've had a week of SportsMax Zone programs that are memorable.
That's one adjective. That's one way to describe what we have had. Yesterday felt stormy, fiery. Today a little bit less so, but also important that we put things in context, which I think we got the opportunity to do today, and that's always so important, that the real message does not get lost in all the fire and storm. And yeah, the producer is telling me that we have lots of voice notes, which we'll be playing on tomorrow's show.
Yeah, mostly about the West Indies team, because we ran out of time today, so we didn't have our regular interactive segment. But as our producer just told us, there are a lot of comments coming out of the West Indies loss to England last night, and we'll play some of those voice notes tomorrow, which would be just probably an hour and a half before the West Indies take on the USA in their second group match in the Super 8s. That's our show for today, Chapo.
Yeah, that's it. See you tomorrow. Yeah, take care.
Standing in my way.